Birthworks Collective YouTube channel. I am Tayo, a birth and postpartum doula.
And I am Nicole. I'm a full spectrum doula and certified lactation counselor.
All right, so you are on coronation, as are we. COVID-19 is taking over the world and you're pregnant. So you're like, what the heck do I do? What do I need to know? What is important? And how do I keep myself and my baby alive? We got you. This video is all about the things that doulas know you need to know to survive coronavirus and being pregnant.
So if you're low risk, let's maintain that low risk. You can check your blood pressure at home. Make sure you stay hydrated. Hydration is key. A lot of the reasons why some people go to the ER is because of hydration. You may be busy with your life and stressed out about coronavirus. Drink more water.
Every time you hear somebody say the word coronavirus, you should be going to get some water.
And drink more water-based foods like fruits, watermelons, any type of melon. Those are ways to get water into your system, because that's really important. And know what your baseline is for your blood pressure, and any types of changes that are out of the norm. Try to be a little more mindful of that and kind of watch it throughout the days, throughout the hours, and see if things change. Because a lot of times you'll see something will happen and it'll change by the end or the middle of the day. So just being mindful of those things. And then also to make a note to then call your provider about that versus going right to the emergency room.
Okay, the next thing that we want you to know is that this is the time to take your care into your own hands. So as Nicole talked about, we want you to stay low risk. If you are already low risk, we want you to stay low risk. And if you're not classified as low risk, we don't want your risk to increase at all. And that can be a huge part in how you support yourself. So drinking water, of course, but also knowing about any conditions that you have. If you are still low risk, but you have some type of health condition, if you have a specific type of, if you've had a unique pregnancy that's still considered low risk, make sure that you are monitoring that on your own. Make sure that you know about how your body has been responding in your pregnancy, what types of things are triggers for you. I had a little bit of an allergy flare up a few weeks ago, but I've been taking Zyrtec, or Claritin. I don't know what allergy people take.
Things that are pregnancy approved.
Yeah, those
medications.
Things. Those are in the allergy commercials. But make sure that you're taking your care into your own hands by learning as much as you can. Learn about labor, learn about birth, and learn about the postpartum period. If that is through a childbirth education class, a YouTube video, an online class, your doula, your friends, your doula, whoever, you need to know. This is how you're going to be able to take care of yourself. You also want to master the phases and the stages of labor. Yes. This is the time. If there was never a time that you needed to know, this ain't it. This is definitely the time that you need to be very familiar with how labor looks, how it sounds, how it works, and then what that is going to mean for you and the plan that you're creating.
The next step is to build your support system. So it's important to have your family gather and ready, and it's really important to let them know what type of birth you want and have your resources ready, and let them know which hospital you're going to be delivering at, and if you have older children, how you're going to care for those older children during the birth process.
This is a really good time to consider that it takes a village to raise a child, and those people are not just going to appear when the baby comes. This is the time that you have to bring everyone in. All of the people who have been sending you, I'm so excited, you're pregnant texts, bring them in. Plan with them and prepare. So this is the moment where you really get to plan for the things that you don't want. It may happen. There's a great chance that it will happen. And if you're prepared for it, you will be much greater at facing it and getting on past it. You'll be much greater at facing it and going past it. So it's not going to be the worst thing that ever happened because you plan for that. So build your support system. Figure out who's on your team. Is it a doula? Is it your mom? Is it your husband, your boyfriend, your best friend, your neighbor, your gardener, your granny? Whoever it is, get them all together and y'all make a very sure, fireproof plan. The next thing is also to know that you have to bring those people into your birthing place. And that is probably going to be virtually. So you have to plan for that. Plan to call your team. Google Duo, Google Hangout, FaceTime group chat. What do other Android people use?
Google Duo.
Oh,
that's what I use.
Zoom, whatever it is, you got to plan to do those things because birth happens quickly. Labor is unfolding and then a jack in the box pops out of nowhere. Things can change. call them as soon as you get there, or have a plan, have some type of regimented, rehearsed system. Okay, when my GPS says that I showed up at the hospital, Granny, you start the FaceTime call, okay? Have a plan, because having those people that are familiar in your birthing space can be the difference of so much. You just feeling safe and comfortable, hearing the voices that are supportive to you. Next, you need to choose the right provider. If you've already been working with a provider and you're in your third trimester, it is okay to reassess at this moment and ask yourself, do I feel safe here? Is this location and this provider the best possible care that I can receive to get the best outcomes? Is that hospital highly impacted? Do they have tons of coronavirus cases? Do they have tons of staff who are being impacted by coronavirus? How is their security? What are their safety protocols? Where you plan to birth? It is okay to be reassessing these things, even at the end of your pregnancy. You also want to be honest with yourself and be very real with yourself about where you are having your baby. If that is the hospital, be real with yourself. I can't say it any other way. Be honest about what happens in hospitals, how things usually go, and that the hospital is being impacted. I mean, it is like imploding. In some places are really just falling apart. And if you're going there to have your baby, you can expect that things may go a little bit different. You're not going there to meet a fairy unicorn who is going to make your baby pop out and slide out.
Yeah, and be aware of the hospital policies for separation. So in the event that you do go to the hospital, are they doing universal testing where they're testing everyone who comes into the hospital? What are their visitor policies? And if you are asymptomatic and you test positive for coronavirus, what that means for your postpartum period. Yes. Are they going to take your baby immediately and separate you and baby? Is that evidence-based? So learning not only what the hospital policies are, but looking at ACOG, the CDC, WHO, and really have an understanding of what the research says for separation. Because, for example, COVID has not been found in breast milk, but some hospitals are basically forcing patients to bottle feed their baby. So just being aware of not only their standard policies, but what you've heard about people who've experienced the birthing system within the hospital lately.
Boom. One last thing regarding where you're birthing, assume that everyone there is on your side. Don't go in there swinging and chucking and throwing. Listen, people are exhausted. People are really at their wits' end every day, and they're still getting up without sleep, without food, without nourishment, without seeing their families to support you. So assume that everyone wants you to have the birth that you want to have. And then if they prove that they're on the other side, then you have to handle them accordingly. But address your nurses, address your staff, your team as if they understand and they are working with you.
Yes, because they're at work and they spend a lot of time in school and a lot of time within that clinical practice learning things, being educated. So they are experts in that type of birth experience. So just being aware of that and trusting them. But again, if they prove otherwise, make sure you are at the ready.
And I also want to say this is not a reason for them to be able to mistreat you, for anybody to disrespect you, disregard you, or abuse you, manipulate you. It is not a justification for that. So you want to just go in believing that they're good until they show you that they ain't.
And that goes to the next point, that you want to labor at home as long as possible. So some people, we've kind of gotten away from what's really intuitive, and we think that we have to go to the hospital if the contractions have been consistent for about an hour. I always tell my clients, let's look at 2 hours, and that's in a 2 hours time. What are those contractions looking like?
People are afraid that they're gonna have their babies in cars, Nicole. Everybody's doing that.
But the likelihood of that actually happening is very slim, and especially also moms,
first-time moms.
Yes, and moms are known to hold babies in, so there's also that. So just being mindful of that and just looking at the whole picture. Okay, you're only just now having consistent contractions. Okay, monitor those contractions, but how is your behavior changing? If you are able to walk up and down the stairs, talk to your partner, you're laughing, watching TV, that is a sign that, things are okay. So if you're getting really, really quiet and you want things to be mellowed out, you may want silence, you want it to be dark, you want to be by yourself, and you're still getting through the contractions, but they're coming hot and heavy now. You feel a little bit more pressure. That's a sign that things are changing a little bit more. But
it doesn't mean you have to go to the hospital. That doesn't mean you have to go to the hospital. Even if you are planning to get an epidural and all of the drugs that they have to offer you, that doesn't mean that you have to go. You can still get all of those things. Some people are afraid of getting their epidural too late. You know, like, I want to get there, I can't get my epidural. You gonna get your epidural, sis. They handing them out like free.
But you have to remember, when you go to the hospital, it's going to be hurry up and wait. Yeah. So you're going to get to the hospital. Yeah. They're going to check you in. You have to wait. They're going to find a triage room for you. They're going to check your cervix. They're going to hook you up to an IV.
They're going to ask you, do you have coronavirus?
Yes. They're going to check you again. They're going to say, wait. We're going to have to find your room. You're going to wait some more. So in that waiting time, your body is like this. You are now not in a comfortable state. So labor will it'll continue to progress, but it may kind of stall a little bit. You're a little more stressed out, not comfortable, not able to be more open.
You got a mask on your face when you didn't have a mask on your face before.
You can't eat. You can't drink what you want. You can't move around the way you want. So stay at home and be as mobile as you can.
As comfortable as you can.
Exactly. And then say, okay, now I'm ready to go to the hospital.
Be butt naked if you want to. All of those things are very important. When you do get to the hospital, be prepared to present them with a very detailed log of what's been happening. Yes. You cannot just stay at home and say, well, I was here and I think while they were starting around, people are moving quickly at hospitals. They need information immediately so that they can make the right choice. Like Nicole said, it's a long process to get in there. You're going to be waiting. So make sure that every moment is valued and that people have what they need as soon as you get there. Hey, my name is Tayo. I'm 39 weeks pregnant and my water broke at 8 p.m. last night. I started having contractions around these times. For the last 2 hours, they've been this far apart. Help me now.
Or drive up to the hospital. Drive to the hospital and walk around. Don't go in. So if you get to the hospital and you're physically there, you just walk around the block a little with your partner, whoever's there to support you.
Not walking around inside the hospital.
Not inside. No. We're out. So say you park your car in a parking garage. Go and hospitals are usually around some kind of grassy area. Try to go around there. And if things change and you're like, oh no, I really need to go into the hospital, at least you're right there at the hospital.
That's a really great idea. You know that you're going to labor at home as long as you can to avoid being exposed to anything that you shouldn't be exposed to and to avoid any unnecessary interventions happening, because that can happen. We also want to remind you to not take any extra things to the hospital. This is not the time to bring all of your birthing suite, birthing lounge items, pictures, blankets, pillowcases. Try to keep it as minimal as possible. You're going there to have your baby, and hopefully you will be able to go home soon. It's very important that you talk to your provider when you get there about a potential early discharge. If you are ready, if you feel comfortable, if everything looks good with you and baby, ask to go home as early as possible. That will allow you to retransition and go back into quarantine, as opposed to potentially being exposed to lots of other people and just being uncomfortable. Get home as soon as you can. The last tip, which I think it is.
Hire a doula.
Hire yourself a doula. Find a doula. There are so many people who are offering virtual services, low-cost services. If you cannot find a doula, find a group of doulas. Follow that doula on Instagram. Follow all the people that she follows. Ask questions. Get some support. There are tons of resources online that can help you get the information that a doula has, but there's nothing like actually having the support that a doula can offer. Chicago Birthworks Collective offers virtual doula support, and we understand that this is not the same. You know, it's just not the same as being able to sit with your doula and tell her truly about the things that you're feeling, and then she rubs your feet and she go and cook you some chicken noodle soup, and y'all just sit on the couch and watch Sisters.
And then also being really honest. So say you can't have a doula. Or you have a doula and she's been supporting you virtually and you have a partner. Being really, truly honest about who you want in that room with you. If you are only allowed one, who will support you the best? And if your partner is supportive, they will be supportive of that decision for you to say, I think it's important that my doula is here. And that my doula is the best person for this situation. And then when you go home, your partner has to be with you longer than we do. So in that moment, for that, especially during a time like this, you want somebody who is really aware of what is acceptable and what's not acceptable during this time.
So we know Nicole is team take your doula. I am team take whoever you want to take. She is awesome. But if you're going to take your partner and you're going to leave your doula in the parking lot, which we're totally fine with, make sure that you and your doula are rehearsing all of the ways that your partner can support you. We will basically, like Men in Black, transfer this knowledge into your partner's head so that they can help you to do all of the things. Basically, be our hands, our arms, fingertips, and our brain.
Yeah, you can sit us right on the table.
Yes.
On the video chat, and have us like they have the little baby tripods. Buy a baby tripod so you can put your phone on it, so that doula can be sitting there and your partner is right there, hands on.
This is a great thing to talk to your staff about when you get there. Hey, we have a doula. We want to let you know that she's going to be joining us virtually, and we're thankful that you're supporting us having our doula here virtually. We appreciate that. That was so my mom. Yes. That was so my mom. But let them know this is something that I plan to do. We talked about this earlier in this video. You have to have a system and plan with your system. Plan with your support system and make sure that you guys are going to. You're not going to forget. You're not going to carry it away. This is a part of our plan to join each other virtually. The biggest thing that we've seen so far in these births is that once you get separated from your team, you like, I'm lost. You want me to do? Okay, here's my kidneys. You can take them. You have to stick to your plan, and it's very easy to do that when you are bonded with the people who helped you create that plan. So don't get to the hospital, don't get to your birthing location, and just abandon ship. Make sure those people are connected to you. Have them on your speakerphone, what are these? Why did I say speakerphone? Earpods. Am I an old lady? No. Yeah, those things.
Earpods.
Have them on your headphones, your AirPods, whatever it is, already when you're going to the hospital. Make sure that someone else drops you off. And that way you're able to just quickly get out, focus on those things. Don't abandon ship, though. The people who helped you create your birth plan and learn all the things that you're supposed to learn and come up with this amazing support system and weave all this care together, they deserve to be there in that moment to support you. We want to be able to provide you with any information, insight, comfort, anything. It's almost like we have to send you into the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, because essentially
we don't know what's going on in there.
Exactly, because we have to prepare you so much beforehand, because you're not going to be in a state to make all of these multiple decisions and care and add these multiple layers to that situation. So that's why it's important to have everybody on board prior to be really aware of what the policies are, what your wishes are, and everybody, meaning people who are not even going to be there. Yes. They can remember those things for you. Yes. So if I have Nicole on video chat, I ain't having no baby in the hospital. If I had a baby in the hospital and Nicole was my best friend, I'm like, Nicole, I can't remember what policy they had. Nicole's like, yep, well, because she will read every handbook. I read here in this handbook, it says that this is their policy, so you need to call this person. Or they said they're going to separate my baby after the baby comes out. That is not evidence-based. They do not need to do that. And so, again, like what Tayo said, when you want to leave early, they may make you sign an AMA. So, against medical advice, do not be scared about that, because you have been checked to say that you are healthy, so there's no reason for you to continue to stay in that hospital. Yeah. So, have your support team together. Yeah. Just a reminder that there has been improvements in research, data, so you can go to at least the CDC, the World Health Organization, to learn about what the recommendations are, and of course ACOG, which is the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, what their recommendations are. And as long as you maintain proper personal protective equipment, if you are COVID positive, there's no reason for them to separate you from your baby, and there's no reason for you not to be able to breastfeed your baby, because COVID has not been found in any breast milk. They've been testing all the breast milk. It's not in breast milk, and that is the most essential food that your baby needs at a time like this. Absolutely. And if you are pumping, and this is not against anybody who decides to pump, that is adding an extra barrier to that protection, that personal protective equipment, because now you have to clean and wash a bottle versus you have this baby comes to breast, you have a mask on. That is a much more realistic and simple way. And she's talking about people who opt to pump early. If you have to pump, if your baby is in the NICU, or if your baby is physically or medically or otherwise unable to latch at the breast and you have to pump, you gotta pump and you do your thing. Yes. Because you bossy. But if you don't have to pump, if your baby is able to latch at the breast, even if it's a little bit challenging, make sure that you try to reduce any type of risk of exposure to anything, anywhere, by trying to latch your baby directly at your breast. So if you're in the early days if you're still at the hospital, odds are you're less than 24 hours postpartum. So using a pump isn't even the most effective way to get that milk out. Hand expression is going to be key, which is still fine as long as you use personal protective equipment, and the hospital should be helping you to hand express so you can get milk to your baby. So even if you put milk in a bottle, that hand expression is going to be more effective than a pump will, especially because that colostrum is a little more sticky than your full milk. But that should still
yeah. I was just going to say that you probably are going to need to watch some videos in advance or during that time on a hand expression. Most first-time moms are just like, you want me to squeeze my nipples until what? So ask for help. If you can't find help, get on the internet.
Yeah, again, because they're busy with other things at the hospital, so really prepare yourself for all the things.
The last piece of advice that we want to offer to you is that if you are at 37 weeks or beyond, we encourage you to practice some extreme social distancing and very, very, very rigid quarantining practices. This is a time that you are getting closer and closer to meeting your baby. And if you were exposed to the virus, you still are going to need 14 days or so they say, right?
Yes.
To quarantine and kick this thing in the butt. So if you go into labor at 38 weeks and you happen to be COVID-19 positive, that could really change the trajectory of your birth. So do your best to really reduce the risk at 37 weeks. Of course, you're being safe throughout your whole pregnancy, being as clean and proper and intuitive as possible. But around this time is when you want to really hunker down and be extra safe. So let me ask you this question. If I'm in Chicago, where can I find information about the policies and hospital happenings?
So the birth guide has a list of all the hospitals not all, but most of the hospitals in Chicagoland, and they update it fairly consistently, so you can check on if you are delivering at Advocate Lutheran, what are their current visitor policies and testing procedures. And if you live outside of the Chicagoland area, the Birth Monopoly has a database of all the states. So they have people that have been recording their experience, and it's just a database to say, I'm from this place, this hospital has this policy, and this is the date that I filled out the form.
We will make sure that we link those below. Yeah. Okay. Also, you all have to know that in order for these things to work, you have to do them all in tandem. So educating yourself, building your support system, hiring a doula, taking your care into your own hands. All of those things are going to collectively work together to support one another. You cannot just stay at home and say, I'm gonna labor at home, and then when I get to the hospital, I'm gonna be ready to push. And you're not. You're unprepared. You don't have a doula. You didn't call your grandma like you said you were going to, and everything starts falling apart. So you have to practice all of them all together. We promise these things are going to help. We know.
Yes, please.
Trust us. We're doulas.
Listen even a little bit. If you listen a little bit, you'll glean some kind of knowledge.
Man, we really hope that these things will work for you all. All in all, we are very proud of you. We are extremely just compassionate towards the fact that you are pregnant during a global pandemic. All right? You handling it. You showing up every day. You bossing through this thing. And there are not going to be many people in history who get to say they were pregnant.
So you'll have stories to tell, especially your grandkids. You can say, man, I went through the coronavirus. I had your mom. Yes, exactly.
In my belly. So you are a chosen one. You chosen one. They don't feel like that.
And but at least you have the information, so we'll give you information so you're not going in blind.
You won't. You're going to do great, and thank you so much for watching our video. Make sure that you subscribe to the Chicago Birthworks Collective YouTube channel. Click the bell. Get all the notifications. We are going to be regularly disseminating all of the information that we got.
Yes.
You want the goods.
And make sure you like and comment. Leave whatever comments, suggestions in the comment section, and like us.